For over 100 years, Boeing wasn't just an airplane company, it was the standard everyone else chased. Its name stood for safety, precision, and engineering done right. But in less than a decade, that reputation came crashing down. And the story behind it isn't just about faulty software, it's about ignored warnings, silenced engineers, dead whistleblowers, and hundreds of lives lost. Boeing was founded in 1916 by William E. Boeing, and for most of the 20th century, it felt less like a corporation and more like a brotherhood of engineers obsessed with perfection. Its defining achievement was the 747, a jet so revolutionary it made international travel affordable for millions. Built inside the massive Everett factory in Washington, still the largest building on Earth by volume, the 747 became a symbol of American engineering at its peak. Then came the 737, which went on to become the best-selling commercial airliner in history, trusted by airlines across the globe for one simple reason: it worked. But by the 1990s, that dominance was slipping. Airbus was moving faster, building more modern aircraft, and winning customers Boeing once considered untouchable. Boeing needed an answer. The decision it made would eventually reshape and unravel the company. In 1997, Boeing spent around $13 billion buying McDonnell Douglas, a major defense contractor. On paper, it looked like a brilliant move. In reality, many longtime employees say it marked the moment Boeing stopped thinking like an engineering company and started thinking like Wall Street. Former McDonnell Douglas executives took over leadership. Headquarters moved from Seattle, where airplanes were actually designed and built, to Chicago, putting executives hundreds of miles away from the factory floor. One CEO later admitted he wanted Boeing to run like a business instead of a great engineering firm. And that wasn't just talk. Stock price became the priority. Thousands of jobs disappeared. Production schedules got tighter. Workers who documented safety problems say they were pressured to stay quiet, financially punished, or forced out altogether. Quality inspectors were reduced while manufacturing speed kept increasing. By the 2000s, Airbus had another advantage. Its new A320neo offered airlines dramatically better fuel efficiency at a time when fuel prices were soaring. Boeing had two choices: spend years developing a brand new airplane or take a shortcut. It chose the shortcut. Engineers fitted larger, more efficient engines onto the decades-old 737 airframe, creating the 737 MAX. Boeing promised airlines pilots wouldn't need expensive retraining because it was basically the same airplane, but it wasn't. The larger engines changed how the aircraft behaved in flight. To compensate, Boeing introduced software called MCAS, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System. If it believed the plane was approaching a stall, it could automatically force the nose downward. Here's the problem: MCAS relied on just one angle of attack sensor instead of two, and Boeing barely mentioned the system in pilot manuals. Most pilots flying the MAX didn't even know it existed. In October 2018, Lion Air Flight 610 plunged into the Java Sea just minutes after takeoff, killing all 189 people on board. A faulty sensor had fed MCAS bad data. The software repeatedly forced the aircraft into a dive. The pilots fought it over and over but couldn't recover. Boeing publicly insisted the airplane was safe and, according to pilot unions, largely shifted the blame toward the crew. 5 months later, history repeated itself. In March 2019, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed only minutes after takeoff, killing all 157 people on board. This crew actually knew about MCAS after Boeing issued new guidance following the first crash. It still wasn't enough. Investigators later found pilots sometimes had as little as 10 seconds to recognize the malfunction, override the system, and save the aircraft. Within days, over 50 countries grounded the 737 MAX, beginning with China. The United States, where Boeing had unusually close ties with regulators, was one of the last major nations to do it, only after President Donald Trump ordered the fleet grounded. Congressional investigations later uncovered internal Boeing messages showing employees had raised concerns about MCAS years before the crashes. Some even joked about regulators and airlines questioning the aircraft. Internal FAA analysis had also estimated the MAX could suffer more fatal accidents over its lifetime if the problem wasn't fixed. The public never heard that. Instead, Boeing assured regulators a software update would solve everything. CEO Dennis Muilenburg was later grilled by senators, confronted by families of crash victims, and resigned in December 2019 with an exit package worth around $62 million in stock and pension benefits. By the end of it all, Boeing had paid roughly $2.5 billion in fines, settlements, and penalties, while losing an estimated $60 billion through canceled orders and the nearly 2-year grounding of the MAX fleet. Even after the MAX returned to service in late 2020, the warnings didn't stop. Former Spirit Aerosystems inspector Santiago Paredes claimed defective fuselage sections, sometimes carrying hundreds of flaws, were routinely approved for assembly. Former Boeing quality manager Merle Myers alleged that tens of thousands of rejected parts were quietly reused instead of thrown away. Former senior Boeing manager Ed Pearson has repeatedly said he personally refuses to fly on the MAX and has documented dozens of quality concerns since the aircraft returned to service. Then came the two names that captured worldwide attention, John Barnett and Joshua Dean. Barnett, a longtime Boeing quality manager, spent years alleging dangerous shortcuts and defective parts at Boeing's South Carolina plant, while claiming he faced retaliation for reporting them. In March 2024, while giving deposition testimony in a lawsuit involving Boeing, Barnett was found dead inside his truck in a hotel parking lot. Authorities ruled it a suicide, but his family and legal team have publicly questioned that conclusion. Just 2 months later, Joshua Dean, a Spirit Aerosystems auditor who had also reported safety concerns to the FAA, died unexpectedly at just 45 after a severe infection. The timing of both deaths, connected to the same broader legal battle, fueled enormous public suspicion, even though no evidence has established foul play. Then, in January 2024, another shock. An Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 lost a door plug in midair, leaving a massive hole in the fuselage. Investigators found the retaining bolts that should have secured the panel were simply missing, not pilot error, a manufacturing failure. Weeks later, a Southwest MAX lost an engine cowling during takeoff, while a United MAX experienced stuck rudder pedals after landing. Meanwhile, Boeing's Starliner spacecraft left NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams stranded in orbit for months because of thruster failures and persistent helium leaks, raising new concerns about Boeing's engineering culture far beyond commercial aviation. During congressional testimony in June 2024, Boeing's own CEO acknowledged that the company had retaliated against whistleblowers over the years, although he couldn't say how many. Soon afterward, Dave Calhoun announced he would step down as CEO. There was a time when seeing the Boeing logo gave passengers confidence without a second thought. Today, it's become one of the most studied corporate failures in modern history. A warning about what can happen when financial targets start carrying more weight than engineering judgment, when safety concerns become inconvenient, and when the people trying to speak up are ignored instead of protected. Whether Boeing can ever earn that trust back remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in modern industry.